standard score notes. Accidentals don't carry through the octave, and also I don't know what I'm talking about.
Grace, tell us about this song, because I think there's a big story about it, right?
I wrote this song when I was doing a bunch of research on Hildegard von Bingen, who's a 12th century German mystic, abbess, nun, composer, artist, polymath.
Show off.
Show off. Gah. Yeah, I was reading a lot of stuff about her, a lot of her stuff. Hildegard has a lot of material that she wrote about her favorite saint, Saint Ursula. And this song, My Lovely Enemy, is based on one of Hildegard's pieces about Saint Ursula. So Ursula's story is that she was kicking around in the 4th or the 5th or the 6th centuries, one of those early ones. And she was engaged to a king, and then she said, actually, no, thank you, I shall not marry. I'm devoting my life to Jesus. And I'm going to take 10,000 of my virgin friends on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. So she does, and they all get together, and they go to the Holy Land, and when they get there, the Huns are there, and the Huns kill them all. And that's the story of Ursula. And she was like a rock star saint. People loved Ursula because she was so devoted to her God. There was something about this piece that Hildegard wrote that I found so lovely and weird and compelling, because there's a lot of like sort of sensuality and like body imagery in this piece, and there's like a thank you in it. There's a thank you, the Huns, thank you, the devil, for bringing the Huns here to slaughter me, Ursula, and my friends, because in that slaughtering, that's the moment when I get to actually meet the divine. I get my goal. And I don't get that thing until death. And by you killing me, I get it sooner than I even thought I was going to. So thanks a lot. So this song is inspired by that kind of, there's just something a little like, what is this? I don't know. Friction. I've taken no music from her. I've taken no lyrics from her. Just the sort of concept of I think of it as martyrdom as marriage ceremony. That's how I like to talk about it.
These accept so many things. Good food and drink and songs to sing. This took so long and now to touch your hair.
We've got Dillon Kondor here as well, who did the string arrangement for My Lovely Enemy, graced us with his fine string writing and other such sound effects.
Yeah, I went to school for music composition, which at the time that I was applying to school was sort of just a way to be a guitar player, singer, songwriter who didn't want to have a teacher telling me to play more jazz guitar or play more classical guitar. Like basically I didn't want anyone telling me to practice, so it was sort of a workaround. And I thought, maybe I'll like learn about Mahler and then learn about John Williams and score movies. And then I immediately, had a charismatic professor who was really into avant-garde stuff, and then I just wasted the whole 6 years. I went and got a master's too, just doing super esoteric music that nobody cares about. But I did learn a lot of like a big bag of tricks for how to get cool spooky effects out of strings. And Justin and I had met as fellow travelers, as session musicians and Broadway musicians and whatnot. And I had just at some point spilled to him like, yeah, I'm really into like Ligeti and weird avant-garde string music.
And I was like, talk dirty to me.
And Justin is, I think to date, and this was like 8 years ago, but like to date, the only person that's figured out how I could professionally use that skill set. Since then, it has had absolutely no. So, still the record holder for me. But yeah, and there's this kind of two planes on which the strings in the track exist. This kind of found object, death, otherworldly, reverby sense of what is it? It's creepy. Johnny Greenwood's There Will Be Blood score, or Penderecki, depending on how far back you want to say you're ripping off.
It's just a little death that keeps me from my
And then also this sort of jubilant, the marriage part of these like, trills and da-ba-da-ba-da, swinging, excited, happy strings. And when we were doing the mix, I remember when I was giving mix notes, making sure those two things existed on two different planes. Like there's the strings that are in the band with us in the moment, in the music video when you're cutting back to the shots of Grace and her band, hypothetical 90s music video, versus the from the other world, somewhere else found object strings.
Yeah, it was really amazing how you tapped into that particular dichotomy in this song, because to be honest, I don't think that we actually discussed that explicitly before the arrangement, but as we went into the mix, as you described, this was probably one of the hardest tracks on the album to get the mix right, and Jack DeBoe ultimately did a fantastic job with it. He really came to it with an amazing set of ears and a toolbox, and found some things in this song that we'd been searching for but had trouble finding. But yeah, it was incredible how you tapped into that dichotomy between the artificial and the hyper present, and brought it out both through the linear stuff that you were talking about that we'll explore, and also through the sound effectsy world that I think really highlighted a lot of what's there in Grace's writing.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, cats. Let's do a little listen down. Let's listen to the top of the song, and then we can start to explore. And we've got a string score over here, and we'll see what we find in there.
This hand has held so many things. Flowers are loved and diamond rings. This hand is longing now to hold your hand. These lips have touched so many things. Good food and drink and songs to sing. These lips are longing now to touch your hand.
Dillon, I love your various notes to the string players.
Oh yeah, I don't think I'd write a la Bollywood in air quotes nowadays. I
Why's
don't
that?
know. I think I would probably just not use that word. I mean,
Out of sensitivity, or
yeah, out of a
lack
sense of like, I don't
descriptiveness?
know shit about Bollywood. Like, I know that it, like, swinging, sort of swinging and glissandi and stuff, but like, you know, that's such a like white dude interpretation of like that entire cultural milieu. Like,
Well, that's fair. You know, I guess it's worth discussing, like, or at least mentioning where the Bollywood idea came from. In 2015, we, with Grace's trio, did a State Department tour in Pakistan. And while we were there, I remember hearing, particularly in the like taxi cabs and the cars that we took, there was a lot of classic Bollywood, not necessarily the more contemporary stuff. But this guy in a car there gave me a cassette tape of Mukesh, who was like a famous playback singer from the 60s and 70s. And, you know, we saw a lot of music, we heard a lot of music there, but I think that was one of the many sounds that infiltrated our ears at the time. We also collaborated with some musicians at Music Mela, at the festival. And so even on other tracks of the album, some of those sounds we started hearing them in places that we hadn't heard them before.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of where that direction came
yeah,
from.
no, I think the aesthetic idea works so well on the track. I just think I would be shyer now about like laying claim to it as a reference while pretending to have any idea what I'm talking about.
Actually, I'm going to say I think the quote, if it's in quotes, it helps. If you didn't have the quotes, that would, I think, say something more about, like, you know, Bollywood.
Yeah,
And when
yes.
you put it in the quotes, it says, like, I think it's like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying, I think
and
it might be
anyone
helpful.
who knows me knows that there's an asterisk of, by the way, I don't claim to know what I'm talking about. So I suppose that's
I think you
implied
should have
for
that
our
on the
string.
sheet music.
Yes, it's just like standard score notes. Accidentals don't carry through the octave, and also I don't know what I'm talking about.
For what it's worth, you and I have both seen far more offensive references on sheet music than that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a whole podcast episode.
Okay. Meanwhile, I'm still arranging the tempo markings on the sheet music.
I loved it. Yeah, I loved watching you do that. That is so great that you just did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheet music has been printed for various years, and I'm still adjusting it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's no session coming up. There's no one grading it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
old
collisions
habits.
bother me. You know, this can't be down. If this is down here, it's
I
just,
did an
it doesn't-
orchestration gig, and the music supervisor, and this is his words, not mine, but he referenced Helen Keller in talking about what my charts looked like a lot.
Whoa.
So
Oh, no.
I mean, there's plenty of blind composers who are fantastic, so I'm not sure that it's
I think he just wanted to, make fun of me.
Well, that's a pretty out-of-date way to make fun of someone.
It's true. It's like using Milli Vanilli to reference lip syncing instead of Ashley Simpson.
I think Ashley Simpson these days is even a little out of
Yeah.
touch.
Honestly, the most recent
I
lip
think
syncing debacle.
honestly, Milli Vanilli, it's come back around. I think you can
What-
use it now.
Yeah.
Didn't Mariah Carey have one?
Yeah,
a few
yeah,
years
New
ago?
Year's.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
But Milli Vanilli is a tragedy now, right? It's like,
yeah, you're right. It's not funny anymore. Nothing's funny anymore, though. Let's move on.